show. Got an opinion or want to ask us a question? Email radio@experiencepros.com or message us on the Experience Pros Facebook page, and we'll interact with you live on the show.
Hey, welcome back to the Experience Pros Radio Show. We do want to interact with you. And Angel, I know for years, almost 17 years now, you've been looking for an answer on how to climb into my brain and figure out what makes me think the way that I think. You know, how humorous I am.
Oh, no, on the contrary. No, I don't want to go in there.
So
I figured that one out a long time ago.
I called a guest expert to come in and set you straight on how to figure out my high-performing brain.
You know what? I would love to see that. I would love to see that. But so many of us are overwhelmed by work, right? We're juggling meetings, phone calls, all trying to fit it in. And somewhere in there, we might even fit in a quick lunch. But according to our expert guest, it doesn't have to be this way. Neuropsychologist Frederica Fabricios, I hope I said that right. She's actually a global leadership and innovation consultant. She and her co-author wrote the book, The Leading Brain, which is it remains one of the most essential books for business managers and those looking to boost their careers. Work smarter, better, and happier. It's neuroscience hacks to work smarter, better, and happier. Frederica, welcome to the Experience Pros Radio Show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Frederica, it's very nice to have you. And as you can see, we've got some work to do with Angel. But if you don't mind, let's start by talking about what is the issue? Because so many times potential, as I grew up, potential was my middle name. Mm-hmm. And I had all this potential. And depending on who you talk to, I've either realized half of it or I'm still working on the first 10%. How do I achieve peak performance?
Well, it's all about knowing your strengths in the end. I think people perform best, and neuroscience also supports this, when they work along their strengths. Very often people try to develop people by working on their weaknesses, but training pays off 6 times more strongly when you already have a talent in place. And then when you work in an area where you already have a talent, I think it's important to have 3 key ingredients, and I call them fun, fear, and focus.
Fun, fear, and focus.
Fun, fear, and focus. Yes.
Okay, elaborate on that a little bit.
When we're having fun at work, I'm not talking about the kind of after work party fun, or having a beer after work with your fun colleagues. I'm talking about the fact that the tasks that are central to your work performance should be something you enjoy. So, if you're a radio host, talking to people and learning about new things in business should be something that's really essential to you, that you really enjoy doing. You don't have to force yourself to do that. And then your brain will release a substance called dopamine. And dopamine makes us feel great, but it also makes our brain perform much faster. It enhances speed in our brain. It makes us learn. So
where does
fun is not just,
Where does the fear come in then?
The fear comes in because, when people are bored at work, then they don't perform really well. Other people might think that they're doing a great job, but if you're under challenged, you're not going to perform. So you need to push yourself. I always call this being slightly over challenged. It's not that you have to sit there terrified. Fear maybe is a bit exaggerated, but you have to push yourself. You have to challenge yourself, and then your brain will release a substance called noradrenaline. And that also makes your brain perform much better.
Frederica, am I to understand then it's okay for me to get into the office about 15 minutes early and hide behind Angel's desk? And when she walks in, and that will cause neurodopa what? That
it could help. I'm serious. It could help if she's too smooth, too confident about herself, and she kind of does everything on a routine. Scaring her a bit from time to time could help her performance.
You are my best friend.
It's not very ethical.
Not very ethical.
No, we're not talking about ethics here.
Not very ethical, she says.
Neuroscience, not ethics.
My son does that at home. He likes to scare me at home. But that's interesting that when we are scared, when there's that fear, that it actually, pushes us to perform better. I think that most of the time, Frederica, that we think that if there's fear that we're holding ourselves back, but you're saying that actually we can use that to push through.
Yeah, it needs to be, there's two different sorts of fear. There's the fear where we are blocked, where we are not in control, where we're not in charge, where we think there's nothing we can do. And then our brain releases cortisol. That's a very negative stress that will destroy performance. But if we're just slightly over-challenged, if you push yourself, for example, if you always do interviews in a certain way, and then one day you say, let's try something completely new, something I feel a bit uncomfortable doing, something I don't know if I can pull it off. It's about always pushing yourself to increase the challenge. So actually, it should have been fun, challenge, and focus, but I thought fun, fear, and focus.
No, absolutely. We like the alliteration.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Frederica, the book is called The Leading Brain, and it comes out in paperback on February 20th. Is that correct?
Yes. Very excited about that.
Super
because
excited.
It's been out in hardback, yes?
Yes, exactly. It's been out for a year in hardback, and now the paperback is coming out in a few foreign editions. But in the U.S., the paperback is coming out.
And how do people get a copy of this book?
Well, you can get it online. You can get it at Barnes and Nobles, in all the bookstores. It's out there.
And what's
the paperback is starting on February 20th.
So you could pre-order it now. And Frederica, where do we follow you? How do our listeners follow you?
Yes, you can go to www.fabulousbrain.com.
Fabulous.
That's my website, and I have all Fabulous Brain. Yes. fabulousbrain.com. And there you can find out all kinds of interviews about brain science and leadership and more information. You can find excerpts from the book.
Excellent.
Media appearances and
Frederica,
videos.
I'm on fabulousbrain.com right now. Where did you get my picture to put on your website? That's amazing.
He thinks he's funny. He thinks
she's laughing.
So
apparently
funny,
I am.
Right? The Leading Brain is the neuroscience hacks to work smarter, better, and happier. If you have it on hardback, you'll be super excited to know it comes out in paperback in just a few weeks. Fabulousbrain.com is the website. Final word of wisdom to our audience today, Frederica?
I think it's important to realize that our brains are much more social than we used to think. Other people are our biggest influence. We really need other people to feel well. So if you're socially isolated at work, or if your coworkers are not friendly, that's the biggest negative effect on work.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting. You've had a lot of great little tips in here today, just making our brains work a little
Absolutely.
harder. Loved having you with us, Frederica.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We've got more positive business talk right on the other side of these messages. You are listening to the Experience Pros Radio Show with Angel Tussey and Eric Raymer.
You're listening to the